Hello friends, so my writing in Oaxaca video is still coming up, but first there's something I want to get off of my chest. Alright, so if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Holly. I hope that you find my exploration on this topic interesting. If you're not new, welcome back, and I hope you still find this topic interesting. Thank you for joining me. Today, I just wanted to do a little bit of personal reflection before I move on with videos as planned, or maybe not quite as much as planned. Okay, so the whole personal point of my year of travel is to evolve as a creator and as a person as I enter my 35th year of life. 35 is kind of important for me. I don't put a lot of stock in many birthdays, but this is one of those ones. My one before this was 24 because that is the age I always remembered my older half-sister being, and sort of looking up to her at that point as someone who had a life that I wanted. And then the next one was 35 because that's the age that my mom was when she had me. As someone who will not be having children under any circumstances, that milestone has a slightly different meaning to me. I'm marking it as a truly adult point in life, much as 24 signified something similar. That one was more how I wanted my 20s to be, the sort of aesthetic and everything that I wanted to embody, whereas 35 is where I kind of want to straighten out what I'm doing in the world and where I'm going with everything. I've been treading water for quite a few years now, and not in the way a lot of other people would attribute that term. Obviously I have been doing many things with my life, but I've been searching at the same time for a more solid direction, and this year I'm aiming to find that. Therefore, my writing in series is going to be an evolution as well. Now, before I get into this more, I want to let you know that the places I've been so far have all inspired me in the realm of creative works, and you are going to see all of that eventually. Just not necessarily in the travel videos themselves. It was really a ridiculous idea to think that I could write in that way, and it doesn't do my creative process any favors, so as it stands now, I'm just going to create a beautiful video and do whatever I want in it in terms of talking and aim to inspire you. Okay? Okay. So recently, I have been analyzing why it is so hard for me to stick to any kind of pre-planned schedule on YouTube, online. That is, unless it is a very clear-cut educational series. And I just wanted to reflect on that a little bit. My thesis, as it were, is that when you try to package something for public consumption and social media, that you instantly lose a degree of artistry. Your mind changes direction, and your gut emotions change as well. The moment you define and announce this packaging, no matter what your initial intentions are, you are going to do this to yourself once you actually start progressing down that path. And I know this is not an original or new realization, but it's something that I've been in kind of a tug of war with for my entire life, almost my entire life. And I don't say entire because I literally couldn't draw or write or read for a few years there at the beginning. At heart, I am an artist. However, my artistry does extend to the world of marketing. I love conceptualizing these packages of entertainment for people, and this started at a very young age. All of my play as a child revolved around event planning, branding, and even political groups. I legitimately had a full day once where I set up all of my toys in my room to have an election for the Holly's Room Council. And I don't even know how much I knew about elections at the time. Like, I have to have been like 6 or something. And much of this was happening even before I started attending comic conventions in a really conscious way. As I've mentioned on this channel quite a few times, my dad is a comic colorist and now writer, and my first convention was San Diego. Well, actually, my mom found out she was pregnant at a UK Comic Con where, funny story, Neil Gaiman was running around trying to get people to pay attention to his ideas. That's where he and my dad first connected. So I'm very much a con baby, but age 6 was the first time I went to San Diego and was really involved, or it might have been 7, somewhere around there. I have a very strong memory of going up to the door on preview night, and if you don't know what preview night is, it's usually the Thursday before the con really gets going, because it's like a Friday to Sunday thing, and VIPs will be able to get in there. Artists can do like some early sales, stuff like that. So I remember going up to this surly security woman who held her hand right in my face and said no, that as a child I could not go in on preview night. And that definitely stuck with me on a subconscious level, I'm sure. But after that brief hiccup, I was exposed to so much art, all marketed in these inspiring, overwhelming, fun ways, and I absolutely fell in love. And thinking on that, it really explains how my love for marketing and community building was born without drive for money, because I did not get that part of it when I was a kid. It was all just this fun exercise of packaging something in this beautiful way that just perfectly expressed what it was all about, and then I saw how people in the convention reacted to that. And I didn't have anything in my mind about timelines or money or deadlines. It was simply that act of creation. With this inspiration, when I went home, I would always label my writing with things like special edition, how to draw cats inside, and dream up every little visual thing about them and think long and hard about how they would be received and what would make them special and what I could add for the, for lack of better term, consumer, probably better term reader at that time. I would even build my own products. I would build computers and video game consoles before I was allowed to actually have them, creating them out of cardboard and making all the little moving parts and sort of marketing them to my parents. And as I did finally start having computers and internet come into my life, I got very into creating Angel Fire websites, shout out Angel Fire, and building communities that had the sole purpose of making the people in them feel special. Another thing I've mentioned before on this channel is my 9,000 plus page RPG written with my friend Jessica. We were both pretty known on a website called Fan Art Central as Ren_fan, me, and Shaman_dancer_love, spelt, L-U-V-S, of course, _yo, Y-O-H. And as I just realized when I was making notes for this script, if you want to search the tag Ren_fan on Fan Art Central, you will still see some of the art that was created for me, and I say some because there was so much more. I got so into this practice in the anime and manga community of claiming characters or bishis that I made an entire website called The Shaman Gang and welcomed various people into it who were each partnered up with a character from the manga and the anime Shaman King. All this to say, the stuff you see me doing now, I have never known anything else. I even created a thing for my cousin, who is, by the way, a brilliant filmmaker now. Shout out to Tavis Putnam. I'm going to put a link to his channel up here. Check it out. But I made this thing for him called Fun Math. I don't think he wanted to do it, but it was born from my learning something in math class that actually made a lot click for me in that subject. And my history is that whenever I learn something, I instantly want to share it. And math was so hard for me to get my head around that when I figured out just this little beginning thing of it, I immediately wanted to go to my younger relative and share that knowledge with him. And here's where finally I want to get a little bit more current now that you have some, sharing and backstory on me more than you could possibly want. I had an acquaintance, very light use of the term. We won't get into that. I had an acquaintance ask me on first meeting if I was a capitalist, based on really nothing. This person didn't know me, so just accept that as a jumping off point. But that question, I had never even started to consider or look into what that term even meant, whether to me directly or largely as a society. And if you're looking for a deep dive into capitalism, that's not what I'm getting at here, because I still don't really think about it. It's not something that's keeping me up at night. I mean, we could get even more into, how money has affected my life or not affected it, but that is not what I'm getting at here. This isn't the point. From square one, I have just loved creating art and marketing it. But looking back and thinking over the past weeks, I don't know if marketing is really the right term for what I love when I look back in time and analyze my driving forces. It's really about sharing art, sharing knowledge, building community in a fun, again, nicely packaged way. But when it does come to marketing it, commodifying it, I tend to hit a wall. Okay, so maybe like a little bit about capitalism, but let's just put that over here. I had a ton of fun practicing marketing in my own time when there wasn't anything on the line, because it is something I'm genuinely passionate about. I love creating art, not content, but content has become shorthand now. I use it, and there's this constant pressure to produce and produce. So how does one stop, take a breath, and create precisely what they want when they want, when there is an expectation for things to be so clean-cut, defined, seriesified? I don't know, and that's the point. Every artist works at their own pace, and for me, I create slowly, which I get is kind of funny to say, as I've built a lot of my online presence with NaNoWriMo, but that's as fast as I get. And I so badly want to share what I create with others and build community and create a beautiful little corner of the world and to realize my visions. That's not something that I can do on a weekly or sometimes even monthly basis, especially with a day job added in. And my press work for me, between the two, takes up 90% of my time, leaving 5% for sleep and 2.5% for eating and sleeping, and another 2.5% for actually making the art I want to make. The math isn't accurate. After fun math, I kind of dropped the ball there. All this to say, I may be nearly 35, but I am still figuring out how to be an artist in a digital world that wants more and more from its creators. I'm naturally a people pleaser, as it just meshes more with my introverted and non-communicative tendencies, and I'm still really figuring out how to say no to new projects, social requests, and more, which take up time I would rather be spending on my art. There's a lot I have to learn. There's a lot I have to figure out for how I put my art out into the world. And maybe, just maybe, I can figure that out in the year ahead. Post-filming Holly here, not even post-editing Holly. Like I said, this whole concept just came to me really quickly and I just wanted to get writing. And I did sort of realize, I'm like, did I connect my first point to my last point? And while I think there's a lot that you can glean between, beginning and end, the main thing that I am really feeling like I was trying to get at here is that commodification, where I feel that when I originally had these ideas for the writing and traveling videos, I had this sort of dreamy idea of being able to have a lot of time to just sit down and write during my travels. And so part of this is that I don't actually have a lot of time to do that, because at this point in my travels, I am traveling to a new place every week, so it's a little bit hectic. It's going to be different in Europe. But also just that whenever I do go to write something, I immediately start sort of thinking, like, what's the timeline to get this out? And, how is it going to fit with the video? And that's just not working for my creative process. And it's set off this whole discussion about marketing, like what marketing is to me, because normally that is something I like. And the interesting part is at, concept level, I think I have a really good concept, but once I add the timeline. That's the most important thing that's an issue here, because once I add the timeline and I sort of start thinking about what other people want to see, and then it gets connected to like, oh my God, keeping my presence up online and not waiting too long, it's that sort of level of commodification that then takes the artistry out of it. And if I do, you know, work with a timeline and come out with the videos that I want to do, they're not going to be what I want to do. So it's just a whole back and forth with that, where it's like, do I put out the really good art and then put things off, and then what even is the point of putting it online? And my brain just eats itself alive. Hopefully this extra little note is helpful, just in connecting point A and B from the start to finish. But I mean, you're all smart. I'm sure you can tell what I was getting at anyway. Yeah, I think that's it. That's my good little extra add-in. I have said all of it for now, but not forever. Bye! Well, making this video was kind of a surprise. These are topics I've gone over a lot with friends and family, but I haven't like really delved into it in a big way online. I was just about to go for a walk and a sentence came into mind, and I had to sit down and write it all out. Perhaps it's the Kafka. This did actually happen right after Pei and I had our first plotted out conversation about the trial as we're buddy reading it. I don't know. Like I said, it's something I think about a lot either way, and maybe Kafka was just the right trigger at the right time to get it out here to you. Either way, I would genuinely love to hear your opinions in this area. I know it's not an issue which is unique to me, and I am really interested in hearing your personal stories, whether you're a content creator or not, about how you relate to art and content and marketing and all of that stuff. Check out my Instagram because I will be posting some really beautiful shots from Oaxaca on there. Oh my God. Before the video goes up, and stick around here because all of that is coming, and then I'll get to Texas and Florida, where I am right now, and onward. I appreciate you all, and I hope you are enjoying having a fly-on-the-wall view of my artistic explorations. I'm gonna go read some Kafka now, but before I go, I hope that you are having a day that is just as wonderful as you are. Bye.